Years ago, the woke left have infiltrated the gaming industry. They have been slowly ruining both characters and stories we fell in love with. Before that, we had the religious right, with the satanic panic going against violent video games, Dungeons and Dragons, and heavy metal music. Now they are returning. But not for violent video games, but for the hot women in our video games.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
In the past years, we have been fighting the wokies that have been ruining our video games. But now, as we were starting to win, people that have been our allies have decided we are no longer needed and decided to go against us, stating that it's not okay to be a gooner. One such individual is Melanie Mack. I'm sure you already have seen or at least heard the gist of her video. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but a few things got stuck in my mind as she was criticizing the first descendant regarding Luna's dance. I can find the original video circulating. I didn't save it at the time, but we all know the game, or at least you will. I will, however, address her criticism of the game. Yes, the game is losing players. All games do in the end. But it's still holding a lot better than Dragon Age, the Veilguard. Yes, I've played the game, and no, it's not my cup of tea. I don't know how far I got into it, but it's a decent experience, and maybe later on I'll get into it if the devs actually decide to pull something out of their ass to get me interested in it. One thing that got stuck in my head was the fact that she was excusing Tomb Raider, and that Lara Croft is a curvy woman, and that curvy women exist. She was not made to be gooned at, forgetting that in the 2000s, she was considered a sex symbol and had quite a few risque outfits. Not only that, but her figure, as I see it, and has been criticized in the past by the wokies, is that she has no organs. Big ass, big boobs, small waist. Which I don't mind. I actually like the character, in fact. Like, Lara Croft has been one of my favorite characters since I was a kid. I played the first few games. I don't know exactly anything about him anymore. It's been so many years, but I like the experience. It's something everybody should go through. Something which the recent games that they came out with can't really hold a hat to it. Like, yeah, the graphics are good, the mechanics may be better, but the soul is not there. All this started because of one character dancing, which is, in fact, her fighting style. She is a sports-based character that uses music to influence the battlefield. The second thing that stood out to me is what prompted her sudden change. After defending Stellar Blade and Lollipop Chainsaw, which is a bit more lewd game, at least in my opinion. I don't know. They fall in the same category. Come on, you can't just sit there and say, Stellar Blade good, Lollipop Chainsaw good, but no, First Descendant is bad. That is not how it works. It's the same thing. You can't just call it Gooner material and then turn around and say, no, this is bad. Come on, an 18-year-old cheerleader, you can look up her skirt. She kicks the camera away. If they hopefully kept that in the game, I didn't get to play the remake. Anyways, back on track before I start ranting off into the sunset. And nobody wants that. Anyways, the first reason is that they planned this all along. And it was a long time coming for them to just turn around on us. As we're storming the castle, they turn around, kick us in the chest, and tell us they're canceling busty, sexy women. And that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, probably it was a good move on them, but it's not going to work out well, as we all are seeing right now. The second reason is that she might have went through some traumatic event or something personal that affected her, leading her to walk the path of Christ, and recent events might have pushed her to actually go scorched earth. I knew a few people in my personal life that actually went through something like this. They were Christians, they were believers, go to church, praise Christ. All of a sudden, just things escalated and everything was bad, nothing was good. Like, they were judging everyone's actions. And hey, maybe it's going to work out for them. Who knows? Maybe they're actually going to win. Get rid of us. Yeah, right. Anyways, I tend to go for the latter than the former. Regarding the game failing, it might not, who knows. But bringing more attention to it won't do anything but give it spotlight. Stop talking about it if you actually want it to die. If you think that is bad, just don't play it. And, don't give it attention. Also, the game is age-rated. America's 17 plus with Canada. Australia gave it a mature rating. Korea's 18 plus. I don't know what the hell's going on with Brazil and the EU giving it 12 plus. It's weird. Get your shit together, guys. But Germany, Deutschland, gave it 16 plus, which is actually a pretty good rating. I would agree the game is 16 plus. That's where it should fall. It's a teenager game. There's no sex scenes in it, no nudity, just some lewdness. You see some butt there, some side boob. Hell, I go to the beach and I see more of that than I see in a video game. Even so, you go on Twitter and you can actually see that all day long. It's hard to not get into it. Even if you don't partake in such vices, they still end up on your feed. In the end, all I'm trying to say is, who the hell died and made you guys the moral arbiter?
Who died and made you king?
Nobody.
These games are a niche. If your side doesn't like it, don't buy it. Don't engage with it.
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Problem solved.
Stop belittling your audience. You don't call them names. You don't call them idiots, perverts, or anything of the like. As the saying goes, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. I'd say you catch more with shit, and the bull that you guys are spewing, no wonder people are dogpiling you.